I remember seeing her photo in my local charity's Facebook page in May 2014. She had been wandering the streets around the area for days. Everyone knew her and everyone would just pass her by until she was rescued by volunteers. She's an angel, just a tiny little girl. That's what that first post said about her, with a photo of her at the vet's table. I texted the charity the next day asking if I could foster her. There was something about her that made me feel that she belonged with me, that she was my responsibility. Maybe it was because she reminded me so much of my dog Apollo, who I had found a year ago in the same area. There is something about those mixed breed Greek hunting dogs, found abandoned and sick, that breaks my heart. That sadness in their beautiful wet eyes, that desperate need to belong, to be accepted and loved. Kallie came to me a few days later and became the first dog I would foster by choice. She stayed with me for 2 months, and even though it's been 3 years, I still remember every moment I spent beside her, every walk we took, every cuddle and every kiss. She suffered from leishmaniasis, like most abandoned hunting dogs we rescue from the streets, that had affected her skin and made her look old. I watched her grow more and more beautiful every day as the treatment progressed. She was an angel, my angel. I should have noticed her behavioral issues earlier, but I was too inexperienced back then. Small damages around the house, her bed always out of place, and stuff scattered around the room. All the signs were there. I just did not have the experience or the knowledge to see them for what they were and to handle them the right way. I left for the summer and Kallie was placed in another foster home, and then another and another. Within a year, Kallie changed 4 different foster homes and was adopted and returned twice. And with every new change of environment, her problem kept getting worse and worse. What has started with a few minor damages around the house ended up with Kallie destroying everything she could possibly destroy whenever she was left alone, and her screams and desperate cries made the neighbors call the police. Her rescue was only the beginning of an endless, tiring journey that appeared to be never-ending. Her beautiful wet eyes and her cute little face made dozens of people call and ask to adopt her. And I was always the one responsible for her, driving her back and forth to foster homes, adoptive homes, potential adoptive homes, adoption meetings, back and forth, an endless back and forth. After she was returned from her second adoptive home, we had no choice but to take her to our small shelter. I took her there crying, feeling that I had betrayed her. Other dogs came along, dogs in desperate need of care, and Kallie kept being left behind. I even stopped sharing her album, thinking that she was better off living there with the rest of our rescue dogs than going through one more failed adoption that would confuse her even more. She disappeared there in the shelter. For a dog as human-centered as she was, the shelter was a big step backwards from everything she knew and loved. She was always alone, trying to mingle with the other dogs without really wanting to. She became like a ghost, sitting in a corner for hours while everyone else around her kept running and playing. I used to feel so guilty about her being there that every week on my shift at the shelter, I ignored Kallie, as if I wanted to forget that she was even there. As if her depression was not enough, Kallie started showing signs of being sick again. You might think I'm crazy, but I really believe that her getting sick again was her only way of making me notice her. It was like a cry for help, and after her blood test results came back, I couldn't ignore her anymore. I took her home again and promised her that this time around we were going to make it work. She would either find the right home or she would stay with me forever. I don't really know what it was I did, but for those 5 months she was with me, Kallie was a perfect dog. The separation anxiety she suffers from is not just a symptom that can go away. It's always there, lurking in the corner, waiting for you to make one small mistake, and that angel of a dog you knew you had turns into a nightmare once you close the door behind you. So the only thing I knew how to do was keep her as confident as possible. For those 5 months, Kallie never missed a walk. She never did anything that was out of schedule, and no matter what was going on in my life, she never deviated from her routine and never had to experience something that would agitate or confuse her. We were living this mechanic, robotic life with Kallie getting the same amount of exercise, training, food, and resting time every single day in the same order. By January 2016, Kallie had already 3 videos in my YouTube channel, another one in the charity's Facebook page, and another one in my Facebook profile with more than 1,700 shares. I posted about her every day and promoted her so much that more than 20 people called for her. This is an amazing number for a mixed breed adult hunting dog. And among all those people, there was only one man who heard about her problems and yet decided he wanted to meet her. We met at the dog park where I used to take her, and while I was trying to explain to him how difficult Kallie can be, Dionysus looked at me and said, "I don't care. I don't want a perfect dog. I'm willing to work with her." This was such a rare thing to hear. I wanted to believe it so much, but after having seen Kallie being returned again and again, I was only as optimistic as I could afford to be. A year has gone by since Kallie was adopted, and I know it has not been easy. But he kept his promise, and it worked. Kallie was reintroduced to the crate again, with the help of our amazing trainer, who I can never thank enough. Even after Kallie trashed his house, destroyed all there was to destroy, after having the neighbors complain about her screaming for hours, after coming back home day after day to find doors and windows chewed and his bed peed on, Dionysus did not give up. Kallie now sleeps in her crate while Dionysus is at work. She sleeps on a pile of some of his old clothes because she would destroy her beds. There is no crying, no chewing, no destroying, no anxiety, no problem. I only meet with them outdoors. I think that Dionysus feels bad for his damaged home, and he doesn't want me to see what has become of the house I remember from 1 year ago. But I couldn't care less about a house. I see Kallie next to him and I barely recognize her. This is one of the dogs I have known so well that I could even distinguish her smell among that of a million other dogs, and yet she is unrecognizable. She is as happy as she ever was. She obeys him more than she ever obeyed me. She adores him, and he adores her back. The first day she came to me back in 2014, I filmed my hands gently petting her paws, and that picture has been the cover of my channel and my Facebook page since the beginning. This is how important she was for me. I always thought I would change it after the adoption, but I can't. I won't. Looking at that photo used to remind me of my biggest loose end. Now it only fills me with hope. Kallie taught me that nothing is impossible, and that when you really want something, you'll find a way to make it happen. She wanted a human of her own, and she got him. I wanted her to find a perfect home, and she found it. Dionysus wanted to make it work with her, and he did. All 3 of us could have given up. We almost did, actually, but in the end, the will to make it work was stronger than simply giving up.